Welcome to AAUW Connections. This program will introduce you to several of the young ladies who received scholarships to go to the Mountain View Los Altos AAUW branch Stanford camp this summer. Tech Trek is a math science camp, and it was established to encourage women to go into these fields more than they already do. The girls were encouraged to apply by their 7th grade teachers, and they went through a fairly rigorous process, the application, an essay, very good essays, and ultimately they were interviewed by the Tech Trek committee and granted the scholarships to go. And now I'd like the girls to introduce themselves to you and to tell you where they went to school, still go to school, as 8th graders now, and what core program they chose as the main area of study at Tech Trek. And let's start with Caitlin and just move across.
My name is Caitlin. I go to Block Intermediate School, and my core class was brain training.
Hi, my name is Paula, and I go to Block, and my core class was marine biology.
I'm Annalisa, and I go to Egan, and my core class was food chemistry.
My name is Catherine. I go to Egan Junior High School, and my core class was food chemistry.
Sarah?
My name is Sarah. I go to Crittenden Middle School, and my core class was forensics.
My name is Trinity. I go to Crittenden Middle School, and my core class is marine biology.
Hi, I'm Tatiana, and I go to Egan Junior High School, and I took the marine biology class.
Those core classes sound fabulous, and we're going to get back to those and get a little more detail. But first, I think our viewers would like to hear what a typical day at Tech Trek sounds like. How early they get you up in the morning and what happens next and so forth. And Annalisa, why don't you start with that?
So we got up pretty early, and we kind of just got ready with our dorm groups, and then we had a few minutes to just hang out with our dorm groups and just kind of talk, and then we went to breakfast and we did our core classes.
And then where did it go from there? That's the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Catherine, can you add to that?
In the afternoons, we had presentations. Like one time we had the bat lady come over, and other times there was a veterinarian who came over and the Pixar lady. And like we also went to different places on the Stanford campus, like the swimming pool. Ah.
So you did get some recreation.
Yeah.
That's good. Not all study. And did we cover the evening, or is there more to tell?
No. After dinner, we have 2 evening classes. They vary from day to day and from which core class you were in. And those go from 7 to about 9. And then from 9 to 10:30, we just have free time.
Oh, where you play video games or write letters home, or call home?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And also during that time we did a lot of rolling newspapers with our dorm groups, which we then used the rolled up newspapers for Build It Night later on in the week.
So you do creative things in the evening as well?
Yeah, and you also get to hang out with your roommates, which was really fun.
Oh, okay. And I was going to just get to the living arrangements. You were in the dorm, and what did that feel like, being a college student very early? Was it comfortable? And how many of you were in a room? Sarah says no, not comfortable.
No, and there were like 2 or 3 people in a room, depending on what room you got. But yeah, it wasn't that. It was pretty small. I expected it to be really big and fancy, and instead it was like these like little beds and like not that much room, and mysterious stains on the carpet.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm glad you were only there a week. Now, Did you room with somebody you already knew, or you? No, you met new people.
Yeah.
And how was that? Did that go all right?
Yeah.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
made such good friends with my roommates. and
Really?
We plan to meet up with each other soon sometime.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's terrific. Well, I guess you all had something in common because you were all there for the same reasons. So that is great. Let's get back to the core program now, and I want to get my little chart so I know who's doing what. Caitlin, I'll start with you because I think you're the only one here that was doing brain training. So tell us about brain training.
Brain training was mostly, it was about puzzles and your brain, how your brain functions,
Okay.
part of it. So it was mostly puzzles, and we learned to work together, and yeah.
Well, it sounds interesting. And hopefully you learned how to keep your brain sharp.
Yeah.
And let's see, Paula, Tatiana, and Trinity, you were all in marine biology. So what did you do?
We learned about various types of fish and the ecosystems in the ocean, and we also went to the Palo Alto Bay one day, and then we got to see various types of birds, and it was really fun.
Marine birds.
Yeah.
Ah. Did you go out on a boat at some point?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I think in the past there has been a marine biology field trip, but I guess they didn't do that this year.
Yeah, we also got to do a lot of different craft projects. We got to make our own fish and make different posters about the ocean and the animals that live in it.
And we also got to dissect a fish and a squid.
Yeah.
It was,
Oh.
it was really interesting to see like where all the parts of the squid and fish are on the inside.
That'll get you prepared for dissecting a frog later on in your education. And that you weren't squeamish about that. Sounds like you really liked that.
I did.
So that was a good choice. Very good. Okay, food chemistry, Annalisa and Catherine. And what did you do besides eat? No.
We looked at the nutritions of different foods, and we did this fat lab, like grease spots, and we'd put these different foods, like teeny tiny pieces of the foods, on this piece of paper, and then after a few days we'd look at it, and then there were these foods that had these gigantic grease spots that went off the paper.
Oh.
And it was pretty interesting because what we originally thought didn't have that much fat turned out to have a lot of fat.
And another lab we did was we took a McDonald's Happy Meal and we put it in the blender, and then we tested it for different things like sodium and protein to see just how close we got to what was actually on the label. And that was pretty interesting, just to see how much sodium and fat there is in there.
And that taught you a lot about choices.
Yeah.
When the time comes. Sarah,
Yeah.
standing alone with, or sitting, I should say, with forensics, which we want to hear all about.
It was really cool because we got to, well, first we were learning about about what would be on a crime scene and stuff like that. And we also learned about the different types of ink, like from a pen. So if somebody leaves a murder note or something, you can figure out by putting nail polish remover and putting a strip with the pen on it and seeing what colors it was made out of and what brand it was. And we also got to use different poisons, and it was
Poisons?
yeah, like arsenic and cyanide and stuff like that.
Oh.
And we got to see how they react with different liquids, and it was really cool.
Excellent. Did we cover the core classes pretty well? Okay. Then you had guest speakers. Somebody mentioned the Pixar lady.
Yeah.
and it sounds like she was very successful. I've heard her, so I know she's very good. And who else did you have?
An engineer came in and talked to us about the different kinds of bridges, and we got to learn about I think 4 different bridge types, including and we got to learn about the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh yeah, how it was constructed, or?
Yeah, the kind of bridge it was and how they chose the color for it, and it was really interesting.
Oh, how did they choose the color for it?
It was the color of the primer. International Orange is what it was called.
Oh.
So they were originally planning to paint it black and yellow, I think. But then they chose the color of the primer because it looked nice.
And I think it is prettier. You know. We should add that all the guest speakers were women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after all, that's what Tech Trek's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else that you can remember that spoke in the evening, and it doesn't have to be evening, just a guest speaker?
Yeah, one of the people, she actually works there. She was a counselor, but she goes to Cal Poly, and she did cement boats or something, and it was like these boats made out of cement, and they actually made them float, and it was really cool. She showed us like how they make them and all the rules.
Now, was that a kind of engineering, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like cement should float.
Yeah.
So that's very good. Now, I've heard of a few things. I looked at your calendar, and I know you mentioned the Bat Lady, and I know she comes every year. So what was that like? Was that at night? No. And were the bats awake?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And scary, not scary? No, and nothing scares you guys, I can tell. So. But what did you learn about bats from the Bat Lady?
We learned that they're actually endangered because of a disease that makes their noses turn white, and it's been really killing off the bats.
I usually think of bats being in caves, but apparently these were out where you could see them and see all the parts of them. And okay, let's see. Robotics. I know there was, who did robotics and loved it? You're all smiling. Okay. Do you want to tell us a little about that, Caitlin?
So we built robots from Legos, and then we programmed them to do different activities, such as going forwards, going backwards, displaying images on its screen, and making noises.
Making noises? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think so. And it was really fun.
Did you do this in teams, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went once to a robotics soccer game where different robots played against others. Did you do anything like that? So you just built them and then had a parade? I mean, you must have looked at each other's robots, right?
Yeah.
But it was mostly learning how to create them. Spaghetti Bridge. What is Spaghetti Bridge?
So we got a limited amount of raw uncooked spaghetti noodles, and I think about 2 feet of duct tape, and we had to create a bridge. We could use a wall, and we had to create a bridge as far out as we could that held a penny on it. And we had a competition, and it was surprisingly hard. And but we also learned a little bit about working together and what makes the best bridge.
And was there a particular secret that you learned?
Yeah, triangles are very stable. Like if you use a square to build a bridge, like squares to build a bridge, then it could move and shift into different formations like a rhombus, and then like it wouldn't make the bridge that stable. But if you use triangles, they wouldn't shift as much, so it makes the bridge a lot more stable. But when we use triangles on our bridge, like it kept snapping off because the spaghetti was so thin. So we tried to make it thicker, but then at the end our time ran out.
Ah.
Yeah.
And did everybody, did you do that in teams as well, or
Yeah.
not just
Teams of
one
Yeah, 4
big
people.
bridge? There must have been lots and lots of bridges.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating. Chem Improv. Oh, Sarah.
Oh yeah. So it was really fun because we had a woman come and kind of not teach us how to do improv, but have improv like tell us to do things. And we made a machine just using sounds, like funny sounds and stuff, and movements, but we didn't say anything. And we were like we lined up in groups, and then like one person would be doing one thing, like or something, and then it would be like a rotating, I don't know, it was like they were pretending to be different parts of machines, but not talking.
Oh.
And
Just sound effects.
Sound
Yeah,
effects and
sound and
movements with
movement.
their.
Oh, okay. Where's the chem come in?
Well, there were separate classes. Half the camp was in improv, while the other half was in chemistry, and then they switched.
Oh, so I sort of misread that on the calendar. I thought there was one thing called Chem Improv. How about Star Party?
That was the best.
I hope that was at night.
Yeah.
And what happened? Did people astronomers bring equipment for you to?
Yeah, there were a lot of telescopes out there, and we could like look at different like constellations in the sky at night.
And had any of you done this before?
No.
Oh, really? So that was a great new experience. Yeah. And where were you on the campus? Was there a location where it was very dark?
We were in the field next to a dorm called the Enchanted Broccoli Forest.
The Enchanted Broccoli Forest?
Yes.
I wonder which dorm that was.
Yeah.
Well, you could probably find it again.
Yeah, but we walked out to this small grassy hill, and they set up about 12 telescopes, I would say. And every few minutes, each telescope would switch to a different constellation or nebula or planet.
Oh. How fabulous. Yeah. That sounds wonderful. Clearly you all loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody earlier mentioned Build It. And that wasn't the same as the Spaghetti Bridge.
No.
So what was Build It?
We used newspaper rolls that day. Like, we rolled newspapers for the entire week, and then we'd end up saving them for Build It night. And in Build It night, we had to get creative and think of a structure to build. And I think our dorm group used the newspaper rolls and built a tiki hut, and we actually got to live in it.
Oh.
It was the first ever tiki hut in Tech Trek history, apparently.
It was the biggest Tech Trek?
Yeah.
Biggest
and it came with
tiki hut?
hula skirts.
It came with hula skirts.
Oh, very good. Well, what did you like best and why?
Well, something that we haven't mentioned yet actually was the Professional Women's Night, where I think somewhere around 10 different women came in and they talked to us about their professions, and we got to learn about all different jobs that women had involving math and science.
Ah. And were they all there at the same time?
Yeah.
Like a panel discussion?
Yeah, and we're in groups, and then we had to like rotate to each woman.
Oh.
And we could ask them like any question we wanted to.
And do you remember some of the professions?
Yeah.
Like there was dentist, and there was like geologist, there was the Pixar lady, there was the veterinarian, and there are many other ones that I can't remember. But yeah.
Yeah. There was a lady who studied immunology and neuroscience, and I really enjoyed those two things because I'm aiming to be a doctor, and I wanted to learn as much as I could from them, and it gave me a great opportunity.
Good.
There was also a lady who worked with clay, and she showed us, or not just clay, but with different materials, and she showed us some of the stuff she had made, like using ceramic and stuff, and it was really, really interesting to see that just because you kind of just use those things without thinking about them, but it was interesting to think about the people who make mugs and pots and stuff.
And that you could, that could be your profession, even though it sounds like fun, pure fun. Paula, anything to add? Anybody impress you?
Well, I like the veterinarian because she also brought in this cat one day.
Ah.
And it had something wrong with its balance, and it was kind of sad to see it walk because it stumbled around. But it was really cute, and she taught us how to stitch up something with a curved needle, and it was a really fun day.
Anybody else have a favorite? Do you think that this is going to influence some of your decisions in the future? Well, I know when you wrote your essays, some of you already knew what you wanted to do and what you wanted to study. And I'm wondering if seeing all these women, did any of them inspire you to change your plans or inspire you to say, oh, I think I'd like to study that in college?
Yeah.
Did they tell you what they took in college to get where they are? Did they get into that?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay.
It also just, I had never really seriously considered a career in math or science before, and I just saw all these women and I thought, wow, there are so many more careers than I ever actually knew there were. So it just kind of just shows you how many possibilities there are.
Good. Anybody else?
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting with the Pixar lady because she showed us pictures of Pixar and it looked really cool. And also she showed us how they make the animations 3D and how they make it so it doesn't look perfect because that wouldn't look good in a movie, and it was really interesting.
Ah.
So that was I kind of considered that as a career, I guess.
Did she show Toy Story 2
Yeah.
or?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the women also sometimes talk to us a little bit about what made them successful in college and how they chose their jobs and how they're successful now in their jobs, and that was really inspiring to hear that advice from them.
That's great. Well, you've got a long ways to go before you get there. Well, maybe not long, about 5 years. But it's good to think about those things now, because even when you get into high school, you're going to have choices of courses, and you can apply all that you learned. I heard one of you earlier talk about making a really good friend, and they're going to get together. And do you think you made some lasting friendships, new friendships?
Yeah.
I love the way in the green room, we wouldn't know which school you came from. You were all a unit and chatting away with this wonderful experience in common. And so you met some other girls from out of this area too.
Yeah.
That you're going to keep in touch with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With email now, it makes it very easy.
Yeah.
Any surprises? Anything that you weren't expecting to see that you did see, or?
Our dorm mom, which was basically the adult that took care of our dorm group, she got to take us into fountain hopping on the Stanford campus, where we got to go into the fountain in front of the bookstore and actually swim in there.
Oh my
and
goodness.
It's a Stanford approved activity, so it was really cool and fun to experience.
It was a Stanford approved activity.
Yeah.
Actually, I was there once when the swim team decided to run through the quad and through the fountain in their bathing suits. I'm sure that you didn't do that, but you probably took bathing suits, and you did have a chance to swim in the pool.
Yeah.
Not just the fountains, but the pool. Any other physical activities that you did?
Well, the pool was actually, it was a really nice pool, and we also got to see the divers practicing, and that was just so amazing to watch because they're so good.
Yeah.
From the high dive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We took a special break from the pool. Like,
what?
we took a special break from the pool. Like, we got out especially to see the divers. Like, we just got out of the pool and then started sitting on the lawn to watch the divers and see them do all their tricks. Yeah.
I think they're headed for the competition and maybe even the Olympics. That would be very exciting. Well, I am hoping that you're going to encourage this year's 7th graders to go to Tech Trek Camp next year, because it sounds like you had a wonderful time and a wonderful experience. And is there anything else that we've left out that you think we need to let the viewers know? We've got about 1 minute.
I just think it was a great experience, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to go because it just opened up so many doors, and I made new friends. I learned so much in my core class, and everyone was just amazing there.
Well, I think that's probably represents the way all of you feel.
Yeah.
And I hope that'll encourage the people who are watching who want to contribute to Tech Trek Camp to contact their local AAUW chapters and maybe make a donation to help. So I would like to thank you girls. You were terrific. Thank you for participating. And thank you for watching AAUW Connections.